The autumn wind is a Raider.
No, it's a Jaguar.
Not anymore. The black hole is closed for business with a big, fat L. I'm not going to tell those guys that.
I'm just happy I made it out of there and made it to here. Top golf in Jacksonville. Jags Report live. Happy holidays, everybody. And a victory Monday as well. Let's start the show.
This is the Action Sports Jags Report Live. Sponsored by Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys.
Let's go. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about.
With the dudes in this locker room, ain't no game over, ain't no season over until we say it's over. Let's go.
Oh!
Hey, yeah. That meant a lot to them, right?
Yes.
Get a W. Those guys are trying. People say they're quitting. Not exactly. They gave it a heck of an effort, and they got a win over the Oakland Raiders in comeback fashion. Welcome to Jags Report Live, everybody. Welcome to Top Golf. Brent Martineau, Dan Hicken. There's a big story now in Jacksonville today, and we'll get to it in a moment, and it overshadows the first win in 7 weeks, and it's about the front office versus players, past and present, has to do with grievances. But first, let's talk about a Jags win. Finally.
And listen, it didn't look like it was going to be a Jags win. That's kind of the neat thing about it, because you took a football team that had really struggled and were playing not particularly well, especially on the offensive side of the ball, and they got 14 points in the fourth quarter, came back and won a football game. The Jacksonville Jaguar franchise doesn't have a lot of comebacks like that, ladies and gentlemen. So credit Gardner Minshew, credit the team, credit the staff, credit everybody with the organization for not giving up, fighting through, and finding a way to get a W this late in the season when they had lost 5 in a row.
Yeah, I think you feel good for the players and stuff. I mean, to have a win finally is a real good deal. But it was a stunning victory. I don't think any of us expected it. If you were watching it, if you were there, you didn't expect it. And it stunned the crowd, actually, in Oakland, too. They were ready to throw a party, and then all of a sudden they're like, wait a minute, we just lost?
Yeah.
So that was the nature of that game. But a good win. And what does it mean, big picture? Quite frankly, probably nothing. They're 5-9 instead of 4-10.
They're in the 5-9 club, ladies and gentlemen. There are 6 teams currently in the 5-9 club, and there are 6 teams that have worse records than 5-9. And this is maybe the way that the black hole should have been closed out, is the Raider fans, who, by the way, showed up in droves. It doesn't make sense. You're losing your team. It tells me that the Raider brand is bigger than Oakland.
Oh, absolutely. It's big. And now you feel bad for that. That fan base is sensational. Now, they've been like the Jags, the Browns.
Oh, yeah.
You know, in that company in terms of wins and losses, that was electric. It was a college football kind of atmosphere. They're good fans. They are all over the country. They'll travel to Vegas as well. Their move to Vegas was more about the stadium, and that place is an absolute dump. And so they're going to a brand new stadium in Vegas.
Well, let's hear from some of the players after the win.
This is 100 years in the NFL. I don't want to be sitting on the couch 20, 30 years later, and I see on ESPN Classic because they playing the last time in the Coliseum, and we out there getting our beat. So I told them I'm not trying to be that guy on the couch.
Yeah, it was cool. It's crazy. You know, people yelling at you, you know, calling you all type of every 2 minutes. So I enjoyed it, to be honest.
All right, listen, let's talk about some of the players and the performances that they had yesterday, because, man, you get Josh Allen and Yann Ngakoue. If you want to feel good about the future, having those two guys on opposite sides at defensive end is a good thing. And Josh Allen proven. By the way, the Raiders could have had Josh Allen. They took Farrell out of Clemson instead. And Josh Allen has 10 sacks this year. And that D-line, man, this is a good Oakland offensive line, too. They had only allowed 20 sacks going in. They dominated that game yesterday. 4 sacks, 8 tackles for loss, Brent.
It shows you what you can do if you stop the run. And the Jaguars weren't able to stop the run these last 6 weeks.
And get ahead.
Right. They finally were able to get after the quarterback, get after Carr. But those are 2 really talented players. If you start to look at the numbers now, 10 sacks in a rookie season, that's good company you're keeping. And now Yannick Ngakoue, what he has done, what he's compiled, 4 straight seasons of 8 sacks or more. He's got the second most sacks in franchise history, and he's 24 years old, Dan.
Yeah.
You've got to hang on to something out of this football team, and those 2 guys now make you wonder if you should switch to a 3-4 very shortly, because they may really be productive in that kind of scheme. We'll see what happens down the road.
I like that idea. Chris Conley made a huge mistake not coming to the program tonight. He's got a Christmas party. We would be bowing down to him. He had his best game as a Jacksonville Jaguar, a couple of touchdown receptions. He's got over 600 yards receiving. He's got 4 TDs on the year. And by the way, He has never lost to the Oakland Raiders. He is 5-0 against the Raiders.
Yeah, again, Chris couldn't make it tonight because of the Christmas party.
Yeah.
Jaguars have their own Christmas party, but he should have been here. After all the losses that he was able to answer to, we wish he could have talked about a win and a good performance. I think this guy's been good, man. I mean, he's a $2.5 million investment.
Sure.
And he's put up numbers that Dante Moncrief last year couldn't put up at a $9 million investment. They weren't asking him to go to the Pro Bowl, and he makes 2 big catches. And I think the big thing, you've been around this now, and so have I, this decade.
Yeah.
How many times do you think the Jaguars have won a football game in the final minute or 2 on a touchdown? Not a field goal, but on a touchdown. Not many times. I bet the over-under on that's about
Buffalo
4 or 5.
in London, maybe?
That's the one I was thinking of. And also the Hail Mary with David Garrard to Mike Thomas.
Not a lot.
Not a lot of them.
No,
so,
I can think of a lot that they've lost.
Yes. Minshew and Conley come up with some big plays down the stretch.
And that was a great catch by Chris Conley because, I mean, they had all-out blitz on that touchdown, and he basically got his head around and the ball was right on him. So, anyway, great play, and it's nice to see. And, again, celebrate a victory, Jacksonville. Don't worry about the draft and all that. There'll be plenty of time to figure that out as we go forward.
Yeah, we got a couple months to figure all that out. All right, let's take a look at what the Jags have to do now. You go to Atlanta with the Jags next week. We'll be on that road trip. Atlanta's playing pretty good football.
Oh, yeah.
And then the Colts
beat the Niners yesterday.
And Dan, I quite frankly look at this team will go 7-9 down the stretch, and then people will say maybe they should keep everybody. That's what happens in Jacksonville. I don't expect them to win these 2 games. They're still not a very good football team.
No.
They played a bad football team yesterday. It was a nice win, but I expect the Jaguars probably to finish 5-11.
Well, a day after the victory, and we thought we'd be talking only about that, we have some news, some sort of breaking news from this afternoon as the Jaguars can't stand prosperity, and the NFLPA went to arbitration with the Jaguars, filed a grievance against the Jags, and won the grievance, and we're quick to talk about it afterwards. Apparently, the Jaguars, allegedly, encourage players during the offseason, not encourage, but allegedly require players who are injured to get their rehab done at the stadium. That's a no-no, according to the CBA, so that's not following the rules. So the NFLPA put this out, Brett.
Yeah, in the last 2 years, more than 25% of the grievances filed by players in the entire league have been filed against the Jaguars.
Now, my question
first off is... That's an enormous number, most likely.
Yeah, how many grievances are there filed? Is it 125 of them, or is it 4 and 1 of them?
I think there are more than most people know. Now, how many get passed and how many people win is a different story.
Now, we're only getting one side of the story, and that's from the NFLPA, but this is the damning statement. You as players may want to consider this when you have a chance to select your next club. They are angry with the Jacksonville Jaguars, and we would assume specifically Tom Coughlin on this.
Yeah, and Dan, this was an NFLPA letter that mentioned the Jaguars on several occasions and absolutely hammered the Jags.
Right.
It was a scathing letter sent to all the players in the NFL. This is not a good look for Shad Khan's football team.
No.
It's not a good look for Tom Coughlin because he's dealt with it in the past, whether it was here in Jacksonville, Michael Strahan and him in New York. Listen, every coach and organization takes everything to the line, to the edge.
Absolutely.
And
go ask the New England Patriots.
Very good. College, NFL, everybody takes it to the edge. And sometimes the players have a voice in this.
And they should. That's part of the rules, and you have to follow the rules to a point. And we also learned today that Dante Fowler Jr. was a big part of this. He was fined, get this, $700,000 over the period, and
25 different occasions.
He ended up getting all of his money back, so he was pretty happy about it. But he came out and said, they hated me.
They hated me.
Now, it's interesting because remember when Dante tore his ACL before he even played? The Jaguars, from what I understand, did not have to necessarily pay that salary the first year. Is that correct? From what I think. And they went ahead and paid it. So it's a back and forth thing. There are two sides to the story, and there's no excuse. We're not making excuses, but it'll be interesting to see if the Jaguars have any comment. To this date right now, they have not had any comment.
I don't expect a comment from Shad Khan from everything I've learned, and who knows what Tom Coughlin and the organization if they do. This goes back individual players. Yannick Ngakwe's contract situation.
Right.
Those two sides have been at a stalemate. But overall in the past, the Jaguars have handled business decisions pretty well when it comes to contracts or taking care of players. They've kind of changed that in Jacksonville under Shad Khan, Dave Caldwell. But this is not a good look for the Jaguars.
And as far as the future, look, we're going to know everything 2 weeks from tonight, basically, because that's Black Monday in the NFL. And if Shad Khan is going to make a change, it will come quickly, and it will come on that Monday, and we'll know, and we'll be able to talk about it. And we all have talked about and speculated, Tom Coughlin, Dave Caldwell, Doug Marrone, will all three go? Will one stay? We don't know at this point. It'll be interesting to see what happens.
I just said it on the radio, but it's worth saying again. Is this the final nail in the coffin? Could be.
It may be. Well, the Jags won't be going to the postseason and getting to Miami in the Super Bowl, but, man, the playoffs are stacking up to be really good in both conferences. And we're getting close to being set, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
Dallas will play Philly this weekend, and Minnesota's one win away from getting in. Houston is closing in on winning the South, and Pittsburgh, I think, needs one more victory to get the 6th wild card. And there are going to be some fantastic football games. Now, the battle for position continues. Seattle and San Fran have flip-flopped each of the last 3 weeks.
Makes the mean-spirited part of me feel a little better in the belly that the Rams and Jalen Ramsey are about eliminated.
I like that.
How about
they
that?
got hammered yesterday.
They did get hammered by the Dallas Cowboys. Welcome back, everybody. Jags Report live here at Topgolf in Jacksonville. Thanks for joining us. Jags get the win. It's a nice win. Now we'll see what they do the next 2 weeks, and then there could be fireworks around here after that. Good news yesterday is not a lot of injuries as well. Let's take a look.
This injury report is brought to you by Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys.
Good news for DJ Chark. Practiced today. Well, got out and ran today. Ran some routes, did some cutting. They, I think, are hopeful and probably expect him to make the trip to Atlanta and play. He wants that 1,000-yard season.
He should want it.
Yeah.
And I think he will really try to play to get that and maybe 10 touchdowns
Yeah.
as well if he's fortunate to do that. Meanwhile, Josh Allen, he's had a fantastic rookie year. But that was a scare a little bit now
Oh,
in that
that
game
arm
when
was
he
dragging.
was down. But that was a stinger. He was okay, came back in the football game, and has been sensational. 10 sacks is a big number for a young player. Great draft pick. He is going to be a stud. Go buy your number 41 jerseys. For Christmas, this guy's going to be around for a long time. in
Cornerstone
Jacksonville.
of the franchise going forward, no question about it. Funny moment on television with Kevin Harlan and Rich Gannon yesterday. They came out and said, Josh Allen has a finger injury. And we're like, that's not a finger. I think they misheard or somebody told him finger instead of stinger, which obviously, so I got a kick out of that.
That's okay because Kevin Harlan's one of the best.
No doubt.
Absolutely. Well, this is the time of the show we usually hit angry golf balls because the Jags have lost by double
not
digits.
today.
Not today.
I'm in a
so
good
we changed
mood.
the game. In a good mood here at Topgolf
Ask me
on Jags
anything.
Report Live. Ask you anything.
Yeah.
It's like a Reddit thing. Ask me anything. Reddit, right?
Yeah.
But how about would you rather?
Okay.
Would you rather the Jags win the last 2 games?
Uh-huh.
And finish 7-9 and feel good on Sundays and Mondays around the holiday season?
Ooh.
Or would you rather them lose, be 5-11 with a top 10 draft pick?
Well, that's a great question. And if I kind of was picking the Raiders, so in my picks pools, I sort of wouldn't mind if they had lost yesterday. But when they won, I felt elation. I felt happy for this team. And so I would rather them win games, man. That's what they're here for. And we've blown so many draft picks in the top 10, it doesn't matter. We beat Miami last year at the end of the year, and we still got Josh Allen. So go win the football games if you can. I got one for you, though, Brett Martineau. Would you rather have Minshew and Foles next year, or would you rather find another quarterback?
I think I'm going to stick with these 2 guys. I like giving Minshew a little bit more of a shot, and I haven't completely closed the book, especially with all the dead money on Foles. There's a lot invested in that. So let's ride with these guys, build around with all those draft picks, and then Trevor Lawrence is available the next year if needed. That's going to do it for Jags Report Live from Topgolf. Jags finally get a win. Thanks for coming out, everybody. Have a good night.
Thanks for watching the Action Sports Jags Report Live. Sponsored by Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys.